What's going on with you today? You know, it's your boy Shams, and I'm back here for another episode of The Shams Show. So let me explain to y'all what's going on. It's been a couple of weeks. I haven't really been talking about wrestling. I haven't really been posting any kind of videos, and part of me wants to apologize for that, but other part of me knows that I needed the time to myself. Sorry, y'all, I'm gonna put my phone on your screen, on your face like that, but over the time that like I took some time away from this, it's been a lot of stuff going on. Initially, I was worried about coming back because I thought I would need to recap every single episode that I didn't do in between. But I'm just going to be honest with you guys, that's going to be too much. It's too overwhelming, and I don't want to bore you so bad that you don't want to watch my videos. I don't want to bore you so bad that you think to yourself, man, fuck this shit, man. I got a fucking 6 hours to sit and listen to this shit right now. So I'm just going to keep it real. Right now, we're starting with day one, the pay-per-view, the premier live event, as WWE is calling it now, that aired on Saturday night, January 1st, 2022. It's the first pay-per-view of the year. So let's get into it. Kickoff show. I'm not usually going to always talk to y'all about the kickoff show. The only reason I'm talking about the kickoff show this time is because there's something that happened during the match on the kickoff show that had actual ramifications going forward. It was a match of Cesaro and Ricochet versus Sheamus and Ridge Holland. If I had to grade the match as a whole, especially considering the fact that Ridge Holland broke his nose early on and had to be removed from the match, Sheamus came back, defeated Cesaro and Ricochet. If I had to give the match anything, no offense to the performers involved, but I have to say, like Sheamus did what he had to do. I have to give this a C minus. C minus, C at best. There's no real ramifications, but I had to bring this up because Ridge Holland did break his nose, and we're not entirely certain what that's going to mean for his career yet. But he did just get back to the main roster, so it's not great for him to have an injury this early. But moving forward, first match of the night, the real opener to the pay-per-view, was the SmackDown Tag Team Tag Team Championship match, the New Day facing off against the champions, the Usos. There's a lot that can be said about this match, but it's the same thing that we've seen many times before from the Usos and the New Day. It's just these two teams don't have bad matches together. The only thing that can be said is that we have seen this match many times. But even with that, I have to say that this match gets a solid B minus B for me every single time, because regardless of if I thought that this was a fresh matchup, I was entertained. Over and over again, I thought the match was over, and it just kept not being over. And the Usos pulling out the win was the outcome that I wanted, and the one that I thought that made the most sense. That's the outcome I thought that made the most sense. But as of right now, taking the titles off the Usos, especially with Roman having, I also didn't mention that. I don't know if you guys watched the pay-per-view or not, but the Universal Championship match was scrapped because Roman tested positive for COVID-19 Saturday morning. So, given his history and with what he's been through, given his health history, I don't think it would have been safe anyway for him to try and try and compete. It wouldn't have been safe for him to try and compete, for him to try to be there with that many people. It's safer for him to go home maybe for a week or two and, sleep it off. Hopefully this goes nowhere, but I will say, this is my prediction, if Roman is not willing to risk his health moving forward, which I'm not sure I would be willing to in his situation, he's going to have to relinquish the Universal Championship. Although, it is Roman, he could honestly say, no, you guys are just going to go 2 months without me on TV. And we'd have to deal with it. I think WWE would do that for him. They did it for Brock. But anyway, Usos, New Day, phenomenal match. Only thing that stopped it from getting a higher grade was I've seen this match too many times before. Would have been nicer to see a different set of challengers, but interesting nonetheless. SmackDown always bringing the heat. Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. You know what? That's the universe coming at me. Because you know what? I just said the SmackDown always brings the heat, and the very next match was Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. This was a bathroom break match to me. But if I had to grade it, because Madcap Moss looked much better than he's ever looked in his career, and Drew McIntyre was his normal solid self, I have to give it a C minus, D plus maybe. If I'm being generous, it's the C minus. because this isn't a match that had to be on pay-per-view. They could have did this any week, of SmackDown, but they're also trying to build their newer stars on the main shows by putting them on pay-per-views, and they're trying to see what they can do with Madcap Moss. I can see where they're coming from. RK Bro versus the Street Profits. Difficult thing with this match was that the win was telegraphed from the beginning because RK Bro came out with Migos. It would have made much more sense with the Street Profits being the characters that they are and the men that they are for them to come out with Migos. And it also would have made for a bigger swerve if they would have come out with Migos and lost. I would have assumed that they were going to win if they came out with Migos, but they didn't. But RK Bro beat the Street Profits in a very competitive match. Unfortunately, though, it didn't feel like this was the best that these two teams had to give. They were solid, but it also was kind of weird to watch the Street Profits have to be the heels in this match. So if I had to grade it, I love the Street Profits, yo. It's you guys will see it's very rare that I give a Street Profit match less than a B minus, but I cannot give this higher than a C. I can't give this higher than a C. It's just too predictable. Edge versus The Miz. Edge is quite frankly one of the best wrestlers in the world, and the way that he can make almost anyone he's in the ring with look good is a talent in itself. But The Miz just ain't the guy for us to really like buy into his matches with someone like Edge. This match they just didn't have the chemistry, and maybe The Miz just needs to stick to fighting guys like Rey Mysterio. I don't know. No offense to him. I do like The Miz, man, but his best matches have always been with guys like Dolph Ziggler, Daniel Bryan, Rey Mysterio. Those have always been his best matches. And if you look at his other matches in his career, anybody, even a Miz fan will tell you, almost all of his best matches are multi-man matches. Almost none of his one-on-one matches before the past 5 years or so were anything that you would even remember after the night they happened. But I digress. This match was a C. Honestly, the most important thing of this segment was Beth Phoenix's return, and that gets an A+. The only thing that could have been better about that is that the fans were not into it. The crowd did not react the way that I expected them to when Beth Phoenix made her return. But moving forward, Liv Morgan versus Becky Lynch. Gotta be honest, this was much more competitive than I expected it to be. It was much better than their last match, and Liv looked like she was going to do it. But it wasn't her time, and it's still not her time. And I think that they would be pulling the trigger too early to give her the title right now. And there's still more time to build towards Liv at WrestleMania. Let's say honestly, if the fans are really behind Liv as much as, like I'm hearing that they are, I don't see any reason that Liv can't go to the Royal Rumble and win. If she's got the support that everybody says she has. Let's see. But if I had to say, this match gets a solid C+, maybe B- from me. I would say B- because I have to admit Liv Morgan did impress me a little bit with some of the moves that she pulled off last night. Moving forward, this is our main event, the Fatal 5-Way match for the WWE Championship. Now, I may or may not have mentioned it in this video, and you may or may not have watched, but this was originally a Fatal 4-Way match. What happened was Brock Lesnar was added to this match because Roman Reigns was unable to compete. What goes on in this match is one of the greatest main events I've ever seen. It was a match that wasn't any more than maybe 10, 15 minutes. If I checked it right now, I guarantee you it clocked in somewhere like 11 or 12 minutes. But it was a very good match. One of Brock's better matches in a multi-man format like this. Brock usually doesn't work well in these formats, in my opinion. He's usually the one who gets knocked out and lays out for a long time and lets the other guys handle most of the heavy lifting. Like no offense to him, but John Cena versus Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble in 2015. Brock Lesnar went in there and destroyed them, but quite frankly, John Cena and Seth Rollins did most of the work in that match. But I digress. That's the old Brock. What Brock did last night was Brock got speared by Bobby Lashley. Now, first off, anyone who knows me, you know that I'm a huge Bobby Lashley fan. I'm a huge fan of the Hurt Business, and I don't know why they ever broke up in the first place. I don't know. Let's just move forward from that. Huge fan of the Hurt Business, huge fan of Bobby Lashley. Thought that Bobby Lashley should have been WWE champion in 2007, but that doesn't matter. Ultimately, I think the prospect of Brock versus Bobby Lashley is one of the only real mega main events left in pro wrestling. It's one of the only real mega main events left if they build it correctly. If built correctly, this could main event WrestleMania, in my opinion. And that's not me saying that just because I'm a fan of Bobby Lashley. This is because of so many different factors. Number one, just as Bobby Lashley was coming into the company in 2004, 2005, Brock Lesnar's contract had just expired. They never got a chance to lock horns, and how do I put it? They built Bobby Lashley as like the new Brock Lesnar. You get me? He was just incredibly dominant. What happens next is Bobby also leaves the company, and both of them left, and they went to do MMA. Bobby Lashley, if I remember correctly, ended with a career record of 8-3, which anyone who knows MMA knows that is really good. Brock Lesnar became UFC World Heavyweight Champion. These are two legitimate real life badasses who only really stand in stature to each other. There's really no one else in WWE who stands on their level because of their MMA background. Because yeah, Riddle has an MMA background, but Riddle did not have the career that Bobby Lashley nor Brock Lesnar had. I digress though. This was a great match. Fatal 5-Way gets an A from me. If I had to lowball it, I would say B+. This match was done perfectly, and it was done in a way that it's perfectly setting up the Royal Rumble and the rest of WrestleMania. The Royal Rumble and WrestleMania season, the road to WrestleMania. So, we have a lot to be excited about. Bobby Lashley put the Hurt Lock on Brock Lesnar, and Brock Lesnar couldn't get out without help. Bobby Lashley didn't get a hand laid on him by Brock Lesnar, but he got a lot of offense on Brock Lesnar. That is going to be significant if they're smart about it. But I digress. What I really wanted to say, if I had to say, overall, day one, starting off with a pay-per-view like this is already a pay-per-view that rivals the best of what they did last year. So I'm all for it. There's a lot of things that I could complain about and say that was wrong. But honestly, Brock Lesnar winning the WWE Championship, although it hurts Big E's credibility a lot right now, I think it's the best thing for Monday Night Raw as a whole. The show felt kind of empty without someone other than E at the top. And it's not Big E's fault. I would say it's how they wrote him out. It's not what he did in the ring or what he tried to do as a character that was the problem. It seemed that they were more concerned with it didn't feel like they were focusing on E's title reign. It felt like they were always looking past it. And that's why I said that he was going to be a transitional champion. I actually said that to two of my friends. I love Big E. I like Big E a lot, but he's now going to be a transitional champion. I don't know if he's ever going to win the title again. And it's funny to note that Big E and Kofi Kingston both won the WWE Championship, two members of the New Day, and they both lost it due to an F5 from Brock Lesnar. But all right, guys, that's going to be it from me today. I want to say thank you so much for coming in and watching. As you know, this is the Sham Show. I would like to say, please like and subscribe. Don't forget, I'm here every single week. I'm going to be back probably tomorrow to talk to you all about Monday Night Raw. All right, then I love you. Peace. Be safe.